का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह जी। संगत जी, अकाल चैनल दिल्ली की टीम इस टाइम मौजूद है ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਟਲ ਲੀਲਾ ਪੈਲੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਐਮਬੈਸੀ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਨੇੜੇ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਐਮਬੈਸੀ ਤੋਂ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਕੱਲ 17 ਅਪ੍ਰੈਲ ਦੇ ਹਰਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੱਜਣ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੇ, ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਨੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ, ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਟੂਰ ਤੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ, ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਦੌਰੇ ਤੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। 17 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਲ ਉਹ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ, 24 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਪਸੀ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ, ਪੰਜਾਬ ਅਤੇ ਚੰਡੀਗੜ੍ਹ ਅਤੇ ਮੁੰਬਈ ਔਰ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਟੂਰ। ਤੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੀ ਬਸ ਉਹ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੋੜਨ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੈਗੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਐਕਸਕਲੂਸਿਵਲੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜੇਗਾ। ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਲਾਈਵ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਹਰਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੱਜਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੁਖਾਤਿਬ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਵੇਖਣਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਣਾ ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Okay, everyone hear me? Today, my name is Jess Dutton. I'm the Deputy High Commissioner from the High Commission of Canada in India, and we are very, very thrilled to have our Minister of National Defence here with us today. And so the way it's going to work is I'll ask the Minister to make a very short statement, and then we will open it up for questions and answers. I'll indicate who will be asking the question. We'll allow one follow-up question, one supplemental, and given it's a tight schedule, when we're at the last question, I'll indicate last question. I ask everyone, before you ask your question, if you could get up and introduce yourself, your name, and the organization that you're with. So with that, I will hand it over to our Minister of National Defence, Minister Sajjan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal. It's a real privilege to be here today. And I started the day, I just wanted to remind everybody, and also it's this constant reminder to me, is as a person who I have served. So it's very important to me whenever I to honor the soldiers who have given the ultimate sacrifice. So we started the day honoring the Indian fallen, and also even the Canadian as part of the Burma campaign at the Commonwealth at the cemetery as well. So that's how we started our day. And it's important, always a constant reminder, when we have old portfolios of great importance and we deal with conflict, that we are constantly reminded that we send troops into harm's way and that we need to make these important decisions. That's what these discussions are about. And we had some very fruitful discussions with the Minister of Finance / Defence on the great relationship that Canada and India has, and how we can further this relationship regarding some of our training, some of the innovation that we bring to the table, and also for our defense industry as well. It is not well known that our defense industry is a leader in certain aspects of whether it's vehicles, UAVs, and many other aspects of other things in the defense industry. And I want to be able to highlight that, and those are the discussions that we had. And finally, I want to be able to just reiterate to all my counterparts what a privilege it is to be back in India. I was born here, and I never forgotten my roots. And I want to be able to inspire a whole new generation that if they look at me as success, please don't. What they really should be doing is, if they have goals, is to raise them even higher. And that's the real message that I'd like to be able to send, not just for here in India, but around the world, because this is a wonderful opportunity, and this is a genuine opportunity for us right now from Canada to build this an even greater relationship with India, and especially between our two militaries.
I guess I'd also like to introduce our High Commissioner, Nadir Patel, who is also with us today. So let's go with the first question. Yes, ma'am, over to you in the second row. Archana, the microphone right here.
I know the parents are being away of Canada, so our Chinese is Mr. Minister, you spoke about addressing the root causes of conflict in your speech. Now, you served in Afghanistan. Today there is talk about engaging the Taliban. We haven't, to quote your own words, we haven't addressed the root causes of the rise of the Taliban. Now, I'm just wondering what you feel about talks with the Taliban, addressing the root causes of the conflict, which is still continuing, and considering the fact that the Canadians have been deployed there, how do you feel about the conflict still continuing? And if I can, I will make myself supplementary to ask you, your meeting with the Defense Minister, Mr. J.P., what was the conversation like on any collaboration between Canadian and Indian industries in Make in India?
Yes, with regards to Afghanistan, one thing we need to understand is the Taliban is not one homogenous organization. It is a small entity, small leadership, radical thinking that has sucked in a generation of youth, of young men into their ranks. And so we cannot look at the conflict through one enemy. Because if we did this, we'd be fighting forever. The conversations that need to have is with people who are there, who wanted to make a change. Conversations were going on when I served there as well. But it's up to the Afghan government to have formal discussions with the Taliban leadership and about reducing their conflict. And it is their choice to make. But if you do not have a discussion that's open, they're going to be dealing with conflict for a very long time. So we have to be mindful of that. But the root causes of the conflict that was there was looking at the corruption itself that was pushing the younger youth, Afghan youth, to the Taliban. But a lot of work has been done with them over the years. And this is something that I worked on directly with. I saw direct progress with the Afghan government. The U.S. also played a key role, but I'm also proud to say that it was Canada's initiatives in Kandahar that started this. And that's one of the reasons why I kept being asked to deploy. And I deployed during the U.S. surge under U.S. command. I actually had a dual role. I was not only the senior special advisor to the commanding general, I was also special advisor to the U.S. state representatives as well, because we knew that the military solution was not going to work alone. We needed to look at diplomacy. So the root cause is does need to be addressed. But the discussions within the Taliban leadership, this is an Afghan government decision, and they need to make that. And regarding my discussion with the Minister of Defense, what we did was enhancing. As I mentioned earlier, we are already doing some work with regarding reciprocal training, and we need to develop that even further. But it's only dialogue and exchange of senior leadership will we be able to further look at, get a better idea of what type of training we need to provide. We have one of our frigates coming here in May, and our Army leadership will also be looking at having greater cooperation. But we also need to stress that Canada has, again, a great defense industry that we need to showcase a little bit better as well, so that we can have greater cooperation in that field as well.
And thank you for noting that you shouldn't stand because of the cameras. So thank you very much for. And I'm sorry you had given up your supplemental by asking 2 questions. So I think we have a question right over here.
So we saw you at India Gate, and the point I wanted to make was, after all that, you have been accused by the Chief Minister of being in Khalistan. How do you react to that, sir?
As I stated, I've been a police officer, and I've been accused and called many different things by organized crime. I had a contract put on me once. I had my parents home. There was attempted home invasion because of taking out an organized crime group that was ruining our communities with drugs. When I fought the Taliban, I had 2 suicide bombers after me and a U.S. commander that I was working with. When you have served your country and you put your life at risk, it does hurt. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But I'm not going to get into the petty politics of one chief minister or any other province. My reason for going to Punjab is to pay respects to Harmandir Sahib, because as you know, I am a Sikh. I want to pay respects to the village that I was born. We're very, very proud of my roots. And my parents have taught me that when you go to a place, and I do this around the world, you show courtesy to the leadership that's there. And the captain is the chief minister, and it was my responsibility to offer up a meeting. And if he decides doesn't want to meet and what accusations make, that's for them to figure out. I'm not going to dignify the response. My actions speak for me, and my service speaks for me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sir.
So this is Akhilesh Suman from Rajya Sabha TV, the Parliament of India, Papa channel. Is there any serious proposal of cooperation between India and Canada about Afghanistan? Because India has been working in some ways in Afghanistan and other development partnership. So has Canada formally, or is there any serious proposal between the two countries?
I don't know of any formal arrangements, but I can assure you that India has actually done some really good work in Afghanistan when it comes to development. For example, with rebuilding roads, the importance of an ice-making factory, actually no, not, is where the fruits are brought in, so they can keep it cold. And it sounds very minor, right? But here's the interesting part. There's a soldier here with me, a captain who has served with in Afghanistan, and I was saying is, we're doing this wrong. We're looking at this through a Western lens. It's not going to work. And the development projects that India were proposing was having a direct impact in terms of with the agriculture and direct connection with that, and I got it. So they are having an impact. There's no formal arrangement, but each nation that goes to Afghanistan makes a contribution. And India did play an important role, especially where I was operating. And on a number of occasions, I was able to converse with them. And the security of Kandahar was my responsibility. And I'm proud to also say that I prevented many attacks on the Indian consulate in Kandahar province because it was my responsibility. So they played a very important role there.
Okay. Right here. Second row? No, just right here. We're trying to do gender parity with our questions here. So please.
It's very important to our government and our Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, I have two questions. One is, as you recently said about you are going to get into politics. But Punjab is very important for Canada. So if the Punjab government is not amenable to you, so are you going to send some sort of feelers, or are you going to, send some sort of, I don't know, peacemaking?
No, there is no ill will from me. I am a representative of the Canadian government. I will always serve my country and wherever we need to. The relationship between Punjab and Canada is based on its people, right? No one can take away my village, my home from me. My parents and everybody else who works there. If there is ever a need where we need to do some official work, we'll always be there to do that because that's my responsibility. These things don't bother me. My job is to be people and move the Canadian agenda forward and represent Canadian viewpoints. And at the same time, we'll make sure that Canadian viewpoints are looked after in Punjab. But my visit in Punjab, as I stated, I wanted to pay my respects to Harmandir Sahib and my home village. But if there's ever a time where greater work is needed from me with the Punjab government, I'm happy to do so because that is my responsibility.
And the second question, I'm sorry, I'm just taking on to the topic, but there was recently this resolution passed by a Canadian Legislative Assembly regarding 1984 riots that they are a genocide. Do you think India has done enough to bring justice to the victims of those riots?
To address the motion by the Ontario Legislature, The provincial government we are a federation, and the Ontario legislature, democratically elected officials, a private member made a motion, and that's what it was. I have to, there's an election going on in Ontario, but this is not the viewpoint of our government. I am a representative of our government, and we have said this on many occasions. But as democratic elected officials, they can make motions the way they would like.
Okay, last question. Young woman in the second row, right here.
Sam Mahasidiki from CNN News 18. So India has repeatedly said that it's time to call out nations that aid and abet terror. Do you think it is time then to pinpoint Pakistan as a root cause of a lot of instability in the region, including in Afghanistan and India?
This is, every nation has to answer their own question when it comes to answering that question. I'm also very mindful of the fact of the region that I'm in, and as a Canadian representative, that it's not appropriate for me to get involved with the regional difficulties within this area. As Canadians, we hope that disagreements and issues like this can be resolved peacefully. And I've said this before. I wish there can be more regional stability in this area, because there's many countries, like India, can play a substantial role in peace and stability in other parts of the world.
Okay, listen, thank you very much, everyone. I'm sorry that we can't answer all your questions, but thank you very much for coming out today. It's greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.